When most of us picture Egypt, our minds immediately go straight to pristine pyramids, golden, serene deserts, and those charming markets you see in glossy travel brochures, right? But in this explainer, we're going to look past that polished facade. We're going to explore the gritty, fascinating, and sometimes honestly shocking reality of what it actually takes to live in one of the most extreme desert countries on Earth.
It's a question definitely worth asking, because the real Egypt is far riskier, stranger, and arguably a whole lot more captivating than anything you've ever imagined. It's a place where modern chaos literally collides with ancient history on a daily basis. So if you think you know this ancient land, well, get ready to have your preconceptions completely shattered.
Okay, let's dive right into this core contrast. Tourists show up expecting luxury resorts and peaceful historic landscapes. But the daily reality for locals? It often involves sprawling, hidden slums, absolutely relentless traffic gridlock, and grueling temperatures that push human endurance to its absolute limits. We're breaking the illusion today to see how life actually functions on the ground.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll venture beyond the postcards, navigate the urban chaos, and see how locals survive the extremes. Then, we'll unpack the socioeconomic reality, and finally, look at the incredible resilience and tradition of the Egyptian people.
Section 1, Beyond the Postcards, the Hidden Slums. And what's truly wild about these areas is that they often sit just a few blocks away from five-star luxury hotels.
3 million. In Greater Cairo alone, roughly 3 million people live in informal, organically grown neighborhoods. Just try to wrap your head around that scale. These are intensely packed communities with narrow winding alleys built up gradually over years. But here's the kicker. They often lack reliable water, sanitation, or even electricity. Yet, despite the incredibly tight spaces and limited resources, these streets are alive. They buzz with vendors and kids playing. The residents have formed these phenomenally strong social bonds, relying entirely on community resourcefulness to survive right in the shadow of history's greatest civilizations.
Section 2, Navigating Urban Chaos, Life in Overdrive. If you think your morning commute is tough, just wait.
Cairo is infamous for having one of the most chaotic urban systems in the world. Seriously, imagine trying to weave through miles of endless gridlock where cars, microbuses, and pedestrians are basically playing a daily game of dodgeball with each other. Then, suddenly, the power cuts out, forcing entire city blocks and businesses to scramble for backup generators. Add aging roads and strained sewage systems burdened by incredibly rapid urban expansion to the mix, and you start to understand the sheer agility locals need just to get through a normal Tuesday. And you know, that urban chaos extends right out onto the water. The Nile is an absolute lifeline for Egypt, but commuting on local ferries is highly risky. A massive 50% of the daily hazard comes just from extreme overcrowding. Demand completely outpaces capacity, and unfortunately, operators often put profit over safety, leaving passengers literally clinging to ladders, decks, and railings. Add to that 30% of the risk coming from minimal safety regulations like zero life jackets, and 20% from unpredictable mechanical issues battling the Nile's surprisingly strong currents, and it is a wild ride. A city that moves on both courage and sheer determination. That really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Whether it is pedestrians darting between aggressively weaving vehicles in downtown Cairo, or commuters carefully balancing on the edge of an overcrowded ferry, the people there embody a relentless survival instinct. It's this striking mix of risk and resilience that keeps the city's heart beating.
Section 3, Surviving the Extremes, the Harsh Environment. Because once you step outside the urban gridlock, the physical challenges are just as daunting. 45 degrees Celsius, that is a blistering 113 degrees Fahrenheit. During the summer, temperatures in the Sahara and surrounding regions routinely hit these kinds of extreme highs. It's literally like opening a hot oven, but you can't step away from it. This intense heat turns asphalt streets in cities like Cairo and Luxor into giant radiators, making outdoor work and travel incredibly dangerous. Surviving this isn't just about cranking the AC. It requires careful planning, totally shifting work schedules, and holding a deep respect for the sheer power of the desert.
But the heat? That's really just the beginning. The desert and rural realities are incredibly harsh. Imagine sudden sandstorms that drop your visibility to mere meters in seconds. Villages located far from the Nile face severe water scarcity, relying entirely on shallow wells and fiercely rationing every drop for drinking and farming. Then there is the wildlife. Venomous snakes and scorpions are just a standard part of daily life for farmers and nomadic communities. Yet, it all forms this delicate, fascinating ecosystem where even foxes, desert rodents, and beetles play a critical role in balancing out this unforgiving landscape.
Section 4. The Socioeconomic Reality. Pressures of Modernity. So what happens when a rapidly growing population clashes head-on with deep history and a harsh environment?
Well, these modern pressures create very specific victims. The sheer volume of urban expansion and traffic smog is actively accelerating the limestone erosion of ancient monuments, yes, including the pyramids of Giza and the temples in Luxor. Meanwhile, extreme economic strain forces children as young as 7 to prioritize survival over education, working in chaotic street markets just to support their families. And while the high demand for tourism absolutely fuels the economy, it also breeds a tough ecosystem where visitors constantly have to navigate scams and inflated prices. Every single modern pressure triggers a profound consequence.
It is this incredibly delicate responsibility between past and present. There is this tragic irony at play here. The very modernization, construction, and industry needed to support Egypt's growing population are slowly encroaching on and literally eroding the priceless structures that have defined the country for millennia. Balancing the urgent needs of contemporary life with protecting this immense heritage is without a doubt one of the greatest ongoing struggles in Egypt today.
Section 5. Resilience and Tradition, the Enduring Spirit. Because despite the chaos, the heat, and the socioeconomic pressures, there is an uplifting cultural resilience that allows Egyptians to thrive.
One fascinating adaptation is the use of traditional healing. In rural areas where modern clinics might be miles away or even right in urban centers as a complementary treatment, many Egyptians turn to centuries-old methods. We are talking herbal poultices, spiritual rituals, and folk treatments passed down through countless generations. It's a deeply rooted blend of science, spirituality, and cultural knowledge that serves as a totally practical necessity when modern infrastructure falls short.
You see this rich culture woven directly into the fabric of daily life. Take the street food, for example. Iconic dishes like falafel and koshari are whipped up in open-air, unregulated markets. Sure, there are hygiene risks from the dust and pollution, but they provide crucial, affordable meals and showcase this vibrant entrepreneurial spirit. Add to that the elaborate, multi-day wedding ceremonies, deep neighborhood hospitality centered around sharing tea, and a complex but generally harmonious diversity among Muslims, Christians, and other minority groups. Even with subtle social tensions, these traditions forge incredibly strong, unbreakable community bonds.
A society balancing tradition, modernity, and diversity. That pretty much sums up the entire Egyptian experience, doesn't it? Whether it's navigating the endless gridlock, conserving water in a remote desert village, or just coming together for a communal meal in a densely packed neighborhood, history, family, and community are the anchors that keep everyday Egyptian life completely grounded.
So, we leave you with this final thought. When you look beyond the polished postcards, you see a world of extreme heat, huge infrastructural hurdles, and intense economic strain. But you also see incredible resourcefulness and enduring traditions. So how does humanity not just survive, but thrive in such extreme and rapidly changing environments? Well, the real Egypt shows us that the answer lies in courage, deep community ties, and an absolutely unbreakable human spirit. Thank you for joining us for this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning what you think you know about the world.